Hi there. So today we'll be talking about our project of the last 6 weeks, which is titled More Than Meets the Eye, Art Engages the Social Brain. My name's Ella, and my partners are Cynthia and Stephanie. So this is a basic plan for what we're going to go through today in our presentation, and it's kind of a comprehensive review of everything we've done over the last 6 weeks. This is our paper. As I already mentioned, it was titled More Than Meets the Eye, Engages the Social Brain. So background, also known as a summary of what this paper was about, that kind of gave us the backbone for continuing forward on this project, was that the research said that art has long been thought to be a very powerful impact on the human brain, and the researchers in this study sought to address this gap in knowledge by investigating how art engages the social brain instantaneously. It is suggested that the social brain is involved in a wide range of cognitive functions, including face processing, emotional recognition, and social reasoning. They also drew on research that suggests that art can activate these same cognitive functions. So then from there, we started to scour literature and we started to learn as much as we could about like art engagement, art interpretation, any kind of thing that could possibly impact pro-sociability. So we landed on two main themes, which one was very broad, art, and the second one being pro-sociability. So in the category of art, we learned about the process of interpretation and the benefits to its brain. And two of the main things that kind of fueled our experiment was the fact that art was said to foster an atmosphere of sociability, and that art can impact critical thinking skills for weeks after manipulation. Additionally, in the pro-sociability category, we learned that art engagement is positively correlated to pro-social behavior or pro-social traits. We learned that this positive correlation can be seen in long term, and we learned that in fact, art is one of the top ways in social activities to really indicate pro-social behavior. In addition, we learned that live art performance in theater can lead to the promotion on pro-social behavior through mediating empathy. So then from all of this, we landed on our research question. We tried to choose a research question that was not answered in any literature, but that we found interesting, and we wanted to study the correlation between the two topics. And we chose, how does art interpretation influence the pro-social well-being during the appreciation of various forms of art, live and non-live? None of the research that we saw really had asked this question of what kind of art really impacts and like how the differences impact pro-social well-being. So we chose to look at this pretty deeply, which then led to our two hypotheses. One being pro-social willingness being improved in the short term immediately following art attendance, and the second being pro-social willingness being greater in engaging live art compared to non-live art forms. And then we began to develop our experiment. We started with the variables and we operationalized them, and we did for our independent variable the presence of visual art, with the non-live category or level being a collection of paintings, and then the second level of the IV being the live version, which was the collection of collection of movies. Then for the dependent variable, our main dependent variable was pro-social traits, which we did using a Likert scale of 1 to 7 on a self-report survey. And then we chose to do some sub-DVs, which could act as potential mediators to really get a full grasp of what was going on with art engagement and pro-socialness. And so we chose affect, pretty much valence and arousal, and we did it the same way we operationalized the pro-social traits using a Likert scale and a self-reporting survey. And then we also chose to get a marker on emotion, which we used a categorical measure with 6 levels. So I'll now pass it off to my group mates.
We conducted 2 experiments with Qualtrics. One is within subject design and the other is a between subject design. In both of the 2 studies, we employed a validated questionnaire comprehensive well-being scale as well as a modified version of the pro-socialness scale for adults. The stimulus used in the study is composed of 8 movie clips as well as 16 painting pieces. Each movie clip is around 30 seconds and has a resolution of 640 by 360, while the resolution of painting pieces are various. We use the timing and the delay show instant button feature in Qualtrics control the time spent on each stimuli. In our study, participants are required to spend 45 seconds on each movie trial page, while 30 seconds on each painting trial page. The detailed stimulus list is provided in supplementary material. The subject sample of the two studies are quite different. In the first within subject study, our ideal sample size is 147 given by G power on 0.95 statistical power, and the actual sample size is 9. We distributed 11 surveys in total, and 2 subjects didn't finish the task, leading to 18.2% dropout rate. We recruit our participants using a convenient method in the sample, including our close friends, families, and colleagues. In our second study, the between subject study, the ideal sample size calculated by G power still on a 0.95 statistical power is 290 participants for each group. However, due to the time restriction, we only distributed 22 surveys and all of the 22 participants finished our survey. So our drop-off rate is 0. Similar to the first study, we still use the convenient method to recruit and sample our participants. Then we talk about the different methods used in the two studies. In study 1, prior and post to the art engagement task, participants are required to self-report their recent emotional difference between the pre and post prosocial willingness. During the art engagement task, participants were shown 16 still painting pieces as well as 8 movie scenes consecutively. After viewing each of the stimuli, participants are asked to self-report their emotion and the affective state. The reason we collected the dynamic emotion is due to the consideration that affective and emotional state could be the mediator between the art appreciation as well as the change of prosocial willingness. As we mentioned before, each painting will last for 15 seconds and each movie clip will last for 30 seconds. We also give additional 50 seconds for participants to answer the affect emotion state question. Similarly, participants were also required to self-report their recent emotional state as well as the willingness to join prosocial behavior prior and post to the study. And different from the first study, participants in the between subject study were randomly assigned to live or non-live groups by Qualtrics random features. Participants in the live art group were shown 8 movie scenes, while participants in the non-live art group were shown 16 still painting pieces, like this icon shows. Thus, the duration of the between subject art engagement task is only half of the within subject design. Given the restriction of the within subject design, we only test on our first hypothesis with a dependent t-test on pre and post prosocial willingness. Well, as the live and non-live groups are introduced into our second between subject study, we tested on both of our hypotheses with dependent t-test on the pre and post prosocial willingness, as well as independent t-test on the change of prosocial willingness between the two study groups. In our first study, the difference between pre and post prosocial willingness score is not significantly different, and it's actually in the opposite direction to our hypothesis. The t statistics as well as the descriptive of the test is given. Well, in the study 2, the difference between the pre and post-test prosocial willingness score turns out to be significant in our expected direction, with a t-score of minus 3.31. Then we test the group difference on the change in prosocial willingness. Our results indicate that the change in prosocial willingness score over the study is not significant different between live and non-live conditions, and actually in the opposite direction in contrast with our expectation with a t-statistics of minus 1.2. You can also check the descriptive statistics here. Then I'll pass to you, Stephanie.
While study 1 didn't show a significant change in prosocial willingness scores from pre-test to post-test, study 2 revealed a different outcome, and this divergence might hint that engaging repetitively in various art appreciation forms could suppress the growth of prosocial behavior. There's also an indication that the extended duration of the experiment could instigate anxiety, which in turn might skew the self-reported tendencies towards prosocial behavior. So moreover, study 2 about the live versus non-live art group is something interesting to look at, as it also mirrors the findings of Ko from 2020, suggesting that regardless of the nature of art appreciation, be it live or non-live, the resultant uplift in prosocial tendencies remains consistent. So our study, while valuable, has certain limitations, and we recognize potential concerns around the construct validity, particularly regarding how we define and operationalize our variables. Additionally, a limitation is basically our oversight in controlling for several variables that could influence outcomes. So this includes prior art exposure, of participants, baseline characteristics like mental health, current emotional state, and their inherent pro-social inclinations. Not to mention, we didn't account for potential influences like participants' ability to perceive colors, which could have nuanced effects on the study's results. And more limitations we wanted to mention, like our sample size was very modest, and it inherently limits the statistical power of our findings. And it was notably less than what G-Power suggested. Moreover, the survey's length and structure might have compromised external validity. Due to the survey's design, we couldn't thoroughly evaluate the influence of medications on the dynamic emotional states of participants. We also recognize the potential influence of experiment-induced anxiety, especially in longer sessions. So lastly, a significant limitation was our sampling method. The convenience-driven recruitment and sampling process challenges the generalizability of our findings. Okay, as we look forward to refining our research, several enhancements are on the horizon. So taking a cue from the research of Van de Viver and Abrams from 2018, we're keen to re-examine our study design, and one avenue is to contrast the effects of collaborative and solitary art projects. We hypothesize that communal art experiences might have a magnified pro-social effect, and in terms of methodology, we aim to diversify our participant pool to capture a more holistic spectrum of experiences, and it aligns with our goal to increase the sample size as well. And finally, we are super excited about an upcoming analysis that will zone in on the dynamic emotional states throughout the study. And this will provide much more deeper insights into the potential mediation effects on emotion and affect, offering more of an understanding. All right, thank you for listening on our presentation.